Hello, friends. I've got a great class planned for you today. I'm calling it 8 Great Yoga Poses for Osteoporosis. It's a follow-up to a video that I did called Easy Yoga for Osteoporosis, and one of the viewers asked me for another video for osteoporosis with some level 2 poses or just a different version of the poses. So we've got 8 poses today. We're going to have a chair handy. The chair is great to keep your spine nice and long. Now, if you don't need the chair, you don't have to use it. But if you do need the chair, then use it. We want to keep the spine nice and long. I get a lot of questions on, can I do this if I have this, if I have that? I don't know because I don't know you. I don't know what your posture is. I don't know what your level of osteoporosis is. So it's always best to check with your doctor or your physical therapist and maybe show them the video, see what they think, and let them advise you because you need something, advice from someone who knows you personally. But I'm going to show you really safe ways to do the poses. You want to make sure your spine is always long and tall and that we hinge from the hips, that we don't round forward. So that puts a lot of weight and a lot of strain on the spine. We'll use the chair to get up and down from the floor. If you don't need the chair, like I said, you don't have to use it. But I want to show you safe ways to get up and down from the floor. We'll use it for a downward dog. So I'm going to show you 2 versions for downward dog and a couple of the other poses we'll use it. So that being said, when you use your chair, try to have it on your mat, at least 2 of the legs on your mat so it doesn't slide, it doesn't slip. Or you could have it against a wall so that it doesn't slip. That being said, I'm going to show you, we're going to start down on the floor. So let's get down onto the floor. We're going to have this chair handy and so I've got 2 legs on the floor. One hand's on the chair and we're going to step back with one of our legs. My toes are up off the ground and I'm going to bring this back leg down, this back knee down. I'm keeping my spine nice and long. You can bring your hand to that other leg and then we'll bring this knee back. We can set that chair off a little bit and then we're going to come down. We're going to come all the way down onto our back. And so, I want to say, don't be afraid of rounding the spine a little bit. Like when we come down onto our back, we're rounding it a little bit. You round your spine naturally throughout the day a little bit. What we don't want to do is hang out that way or constantly have our posture that way. So do poses, move your body. You need to strengthen it. And when you get so afraid to do any movements, you're not doing yourself any good. Just learn to do the poses or the movements the correct way, and you're going to be so much better. So we're down on our floor. We're going to come all the way down onto our back. So kind of center yourself on your mat and then come down onto your back. You might drop to your elbows, keep that spine long, come all the way down, or whatever way feels good and safe for you. Once you're down on your back, just kind of adjust hips and shoulders and get even. Before we get into the poses, let's just hug the knees into the chest and just roll side to side a little bit. So just feel that on your back. Just bringing some good blood flow to the back, the upper back, the mid back, and the low back. So just rocking a little side to side, some nice breaths. Bring your knees to center and then use your core. Bring the feet to the mat. They can come down one at a time if you need. So use that core. Don't let the back arch. Our first pose is going to be bridge pose. So when you get up into bridge pose, we're going to be lifting our hips. When those hips are lifted, make sure you're not turning your neck because that could give you a stiff neck. So we're going to have our knees stacked over our heels, feet hip width apart, arms at our side, palms up. Before we get into bridge, let's just do a little bit of warm up for our low back called a pelvic tilt. So inhale, lift your waistline off the mat, the belly soft and relaxed. Exhale, press the waistline down into the mat and you're going to kind of pull that belly in, right side, left side pulls in and pull the belly button down. So just a few of these. Inhale, waistline lifts, exhale, waistline presses down. You're going to go with your breath. So we're just warming up here, warming up the low back, warming up the hips, toning the core a bit. Your hips don't lift, just the waistline area is lifting. Good. Now we're going to take this into our bridge. So the next time your waistline is pressing down, keep it pressing down. We're going to inhale and lift our hips. Try to lift up one vertebra at a time. So keep the body nice and long, nice and flat. Press the shoulders into the floor. Soften your belly. Press the feet into the floor. You don't have to lift high into bridge. This is strengthening the legs, the glutes, the upper back, the shoulders. It's going to help your posture. Let's come out of it. Inhale. With your exhale, we're going to try to lower down one vertebra at a time. Good. Once your hips are down, hug the knees into the chest. Let's roll side to side. So bridge is a great pose for our lower body, but also our upper body. And you can see in that bridge, we kept the spine nice and long. Bring the knees to center. Use your core. Feet come down to the mat. They can always come down one at a time. So use that core, work the belly. Let's do our bridge one more time. So arms at our side, palms are up. Knees stack over your heels, feet hip width apart. Inhale. With your exhale, press your waistline down into the mat. And inhale, lift the hips up any amount. Keep lifting the tailbone up towards the ceiling, belly soft. Your body's in a nice straight line. Press the shoulders in. So we open the chest, press the feet into the floor. Don't hold the breath, just hold the pose. We're going to come out of it. Inhale first, exhale. We're going to lengthen and lower down. Don't let your bottom touch down before your waist touches down. Once your hips are down, hug the knees into the chest, and we're going to roll side to side. Roll it out. That always feels so good on the back. Good. Knees to center. Use your core. Feet come down to the mat. Let's roll to your side, either side, doesn't matter. Use your strong arms and come up nice with a nice long spine. We're going to come onto hands and knees table pose. So coming onto your hands and knees, if you need some extra cushioning under your knees, if you're on a hard surface, go ahead and grab some cushioning for the knees. You're going to have your wrists under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. This is called table pose. So keep your neck nice and long, nice and in line with your spine. Your belly is going to pull up a little bit and the spine nice and flat like a table. We'll just hold here for a few breaths. So this is strengthening the arms. It's strengthening the legs, strengthening the core. Good. Just breathe. Nice long spine. From the top of your head to the tip of your tail, think about length. So no rounding, no arching. And then we're going to come out of this. We're going to shift back into child's pose. So big toes barely touching. Bring your hips back towards your heels. And we're going to bring our forehead down to stacked hands, to a yoga block or to the mat. And just breathe into the whole back body. Breathe into the belly. So just a little rest pose in between. Good. We're going to come back up to our hands and knees table pose. And our next pose is bird dog or an arm and leg balance. So wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Make sure the wrists aren't forward. That's not stable for your shoulder joint. So kind of look down and make sure that shoulder goes right over the wrists. So arm and leg balance. We're going to take our right leg back behind you. It hovers in space. Level your hips, so don't let that right hip be high. Pull the belly in and up towards your spine. When you're ready to balance, stretch the left hand forward. Spread the fingers, left thumb points up towards the ceiling. Body nice and long, and you keep that belly pulling up. Let's come out of it. Bring the left hand down, the right knee down. Take a breath, and we're going to do the other side. Same thing, but the other side. The left leg is going to stretch back behind you. It hovers in space. Level the hip. So you usually have to drop that hip, the hip of the leg that's lifted. It usually needs to drop a little. Spread your toes. Push through the ball of the foot. When you're ready to balance, right hand is going to reach forward. Spread the right fingers, right thumb up towards the ceiling. Keep hugging that belly in. So you're working your core. You're working your spine. You're working your hips and shoulders. Let's come out of it. Right hand comes down, left knee comes down. shift back into child's pose. Big toes barely touching, knees separate apart. Let your forehead rest. Keep the spine long. Try not to round your spine too much. So if you need to rest up on a block, perfectly fine. Just modify, just adjust to whatever suits you. Good. From table pose, we're going to come back up into table pose, and we're going to do plank pose. So I'm going to show you two versions for plank. Kind of crawl towards the front of your mat. Because when we stretch our legs back in plank, you want to make sure they're on the mat. So you crawl towards that front of the mat, and we want to keep, in plank, we want to keep our shoulders over our wrists. Okay, and we want the shoulder blades spreading apart. So we're not sinking down towards the mat. We're kind of pushing away, and we're pulling that belly up. So you can walk the knees back a little bit, keeping those shoulders over the wrists, and you're going to tuck the tail. So I'm tucking my hips down and under, as if a dog tucking their tail between the legs. You're going to feel your belly engaged. So you can stay right here with a plank on knees on the ground. If you want to go a little bit further, you're going to curl the right toes under, lift the right knee, and lift the left knee. Keep those shoulders right over the hips, and you're tucking the tail. So don't lift the hips. Make sure your hips aren't up in the air. Your body's in a nice flat board type shape, plank. Spread the shoulder blades apart. Neck is long. Don't drop the head. Don't crease the back of the neck by looking forward. It's a nice long neck. And then you're going to come down to knees. This is where we started, on the knees. And then we're going to shift back into our child's pose. Big toes barely touching, knees separate apart. Let your forehead rest. Let your wrists relax, because we were on the wrists a little bit. Take a few breaths. You might even wobble your hips and shoulders side to side, just a little nice side stretch, side to side stretch. Good. And we're going to come up to our hands and knees table. Our next pose is downward dog. So crawl towards your chair. I'm going to bring this chair back so that the feet, the legs are on the chair. And I'm going to come up to my hands on this chair. I'm going to bring my stronger leg forward. Curl the back toes under. This is just to give me a little bit of support. And I'm going to try to lift up and step forward with my back foot. You're going to pull that core in. So lift up and step forward. That's how you get a safe way to get up to standing. For downward dog with the chair, let's bring the chair on the mat. So all of the feet on the mat, or like I said, you could have it against a wall. We're going to step about 3 feet away from the chair, because we're going to lean forward and our hands are going to be on the chair. So we don't want our feet too close. We might even step our feet back a little bit. Remember, we're hinging from the hips. We're not rounding the shoulders. We're kind of bringing those shoulders back, squeezing them together, and hinging from the hips. So let's inhale. With your exhale, nice long spine, you're going to hinge forward as you reach for the chair. And then walk your feet back a little bit so that your hips are over your heels or over your ankles. Your head right in between the arms, so that spine is nice and long. There's no rounding. You're breathing, pressing into the feet. The hands are lightly on the chair. So this is just a variation of downward dog, and our hands aren't on the floor. And also, if you have any wrist issues, this is a better way if you have wrist issues. We're going to come out of it. So keep that belly pulling in to support your spine. Lift your head, and we're going to step in with one foot, step in with the other, come up to standing, shake out the arms, shake out the legs. That's your downward dog with a chair, or a modified version. Let's do our downward dog now on the floor, if you're up for that one. So let's move this chair away. We can keep the back legs on the mat, and we're going to come down safely. So hands on the chair, we're going to step the one leg back. It doesn't matter, one leg back, toes curled under, and then lower. Think about lowering that back knee down with your spine nice and long, and then we're going to bring that other knee back. We can set that chair, we can push it a little bit away, or you can leave it there. We're going to start this downward dog from child's pose. I like to start it from child's pose because everyone has a different length of arms. Some people have shorter arms, longer arms, or different length of your torso or your legs. So when you start from child's pose, you're getting the right distance of your hands and your feet together. So let's have big toes barely touching, knees separated apart. Come down into child's pose. You're going to stretch those hands as far forward as they'll go. Your elbows are up off the mat. Now you're going to come up into hands and knees table. You can walk the knees a little closer together. If they were wide for child's pose, they probably were. Now take a look at your hands. Fingers spread nice and wide. Index fingers are parallel, so important to have the foundation of our pose right. Curl your toes under. We're going to keep our spine nice and long and no rounding. We're going to inhale. With your exhale, hug the belly in, and you're going to lift up kind of like into that plank and then shift back, downward dog. So my spine nice and long. Lift your tailbone up towards the ceiling. Keep hugging that belly in. No rounding, no tucking of the tail. Breathing, press the floor away from you. If you like, you can walk it out. One heel lowers, other heel lowers. It gives you a good stretch in the back of the legs. But you can also keep the heels just level with each other. Good. If you were walking it out, bring the heels level with each other. We're going to come out of our downward dog. We're going to come forward on the hands a little, lower the knees down, and we're going to shift back into child's pose. Big toes barely touching, knees separate apart. And just take a few breaths. You might want to take a few wrist circles or wiggle the fingers. You might even want to wobble your hips and shoulders a little side to side. Just let everything rest for a moment. Good. And we're going to come up to standing. So let's come to table, crawl forward towards your chair, bring that chair back so that the legs are on the mat. Hands on the chair, bring your strongest leg forward, and you could switch too. So when you're coming up and down, don't always use the strongest leg. When you're getting pretty good at this, use the other leg forward so you can get that one strong. Hands on your chair, curl the back toes under, pull that belly in always, and lift up and step forward. You're into standing. Our next pose is warrior one pose. So let's take the chair and we're going to bring it to the side. Just bring it about middle of the mat. If you don't need a chair for warrior one, you don't have to use it. I'm going to show you the version to use it with and then have that option to lift the hand. So I have the chair on my right side. My right hand is on the back of the chair. I'm going to step back, nice long step back with my left foot. So my left toes angle out to the left. My right toes are pointing forward. And I want you to have a little space between your heels. So if you were on a narrow railroad track or kind of in line with your hips are kind of in that narrow parallel. We're going to bend that front knee and try to have that knee over the heel. This back leg long and strong. Push that back knee crease back behind you, and you're keeping your spine long. Right hand on the chair, you can lift just the left arm. If you have any balance issues, just keep that right hand on the chair and you lift the left arm. Let's say you have shoulder issues, just bring the left hand to the left hip. Okay? But if you've got that left hand up and if you want to try the right hand up, the palms are going to face each other. Relax the shoulders down. Pull and zip the belly up the front. Both legs are strong, both feet pressing into the floor. Let's come out of it. Bring right hand to the chair, lower the left hand. We're going to step forward with that left foot. So the whole time the spine nice and long, very safe for osteoporosis. Let's do the other side. So we're going to turn the opposite way. Now my left hand is on the chair. I'm going to take a nice giant step back with my right foot. Right toes angle out to the right. I'm on a little narrow railroad track with my feet. Bend the front knee, the left knee. Spine nice and long. We're already zipping the belly up in the front. This back right knee crease, push it back behind you and try to have your left knee over your left heel. We're going to lift that right arm up, relax the right shoulder. Keep pulling that belly up and zipping it up the front. And if it feels okay, left arm lifts. The palms face each other. Relax the shoulder blades down. Press both feet firmly into the floor. Don't hold your breath. Keep breathing. Breathe into the belly. Even though you're pulling the belly muscles in, you can still work belly breaths. We're going to come out of it. Bring the left hand to the chair. Lower the right hand. We're going to push off, step forward with that right foot. Good. Shake it out. Now, if you're feeling good with that warrior one, we're going to go into a warrior three. So it all depends on how you're feeling. If warrior three is a balance and we're going to lift one leg up, we're going to hinge forward and lift one leg up. So if you're not feeling good with that, do your warrior two, your warrior one again. Take your chair. We're going to put it on the mat, at least have the back legs on the mat. We're going to set up for warrior three through a warrior one. Okay, so I'm facing the chair. Now you're going to want to step about 3 feet back from the chair, kind of like we did with downward dog. Since we're hinging forward, we're going to be reaching for the chair. We don't want to be too close to the chair. So we're going to be parallel to the chair. You're going to take that left foot and step it back, just like you did for warrior one, a little narrow railroad track. Bend that front knee, just like we did for warrior one. Let's bring the arms up, palms face each other. So this is how we were without the chair. Remember, you're going to hinge from your hips. Try to keep your head right in between your arms. Inhale. With your exhale, hinge forward from the hips and reach for that back of the chair. When you've got the back of the chair, try to start straightening the right leg and lifting the left foot. It can, even if it just lifts a little bit, try to lift that left foot and try to level your hips like we were in that bird dog pose. We don't want this left hip lifting. We want it even. We want it level. And trying to keep that spine nice and long. No rounding in the shoulders. If you lifted that left foot, spread the toes. Push through the ball of the foot. And the standing leg has a little tiny micro bend. Let's come out of it. We're going to lower this left foot, bring it right next to your right. You're kind of in that halfway fold. Bring your hands up to above the knees, squeeze your shoulder blades together, long, flat spine. We're going to hinge up with a nice long spine. So we don't round up, we hinge up. That difference is, instead of coming up like this, rounding, no, hard for your back. We're here, hands above the knees. We squeeze the shoulder blades together. They're not rounding. We squeeze them and we hinge from our hips. Nice flat back. All right, we're going to do the other side. So we're going to take a nice giant step back with our right foot. Our feet are on that narrow railroad track. Bend the front knee. We're going to lift the arms. Palms face each other. Relax the arms down. Zip your belly up. We're going to hinge from the hips. Inhale first. Exhale. Hinge forward. And reach for the back of that chair. When you feel that chair, start to straighten that left leg and lift the right toes. Even if they just lift a little bit, right? Spread the right toes. Push through the ball of the foot. And maybe that back leg lifts a little bit more. Level your hips. Don't let that right hip lift up towards the ceiling. Keep your spine nice and long. No rounding. Feel it. Feel your body. Get that mind-muscle connection, mind-body connection. Let's come out of it. We're going to bring that right foot down. Bring it right next to your left foot. Bring hands up above the knees. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. You're in a halfway lift. The back is flat. Pull the belly in. Strong legs. Hinge up with a nice flat back. All the way up. Good. Shake that out. Let's set the chair. No, we're going to leave it because we're going to come down into cobra. So let's just take a few side swings from those two standing poses. Separate your feet a little wider than the hips and just take a few little side swings. So let your opposite heel lift. Let your arms and shoulders relax. Good. We get a good stretch. When that opposite heel lifts, we get a good stretch all the way down the side of the leg. You're zipping the belly up. Pull it in, zip it up. So you've got that integrity in the core. Good. Take a few nice breaths, and then we're going to slow that down. We'll use the chair to come all the way down onto the floor. We're going to do one last pose. It's going to be cobra pose. It's going to work our upper back. So hand on the chair. We're going to take one foot back. My back heel is lifted. I'm going to lower that knee straight down, nice long spine. Bring that front knee back. We can set our chair aside, and we'll come down to sitting. And then we're going to come all the way down onto our belly. So come into your hands and knees, table pose, and then we're going to walk those knees back. We're going to lower down, come down to your elbows, and lower all the way down onto your belly. Let's bring the arms down by your side. Palms are up. Forehead's on the mat. I want you to firm up and strengthen your legs. So point the toes away from you and really firm up your legs so your knees will lift up off the mat just a little bit. Your bottom is firm. We're going to lift the arms up off the mat, palms face the ceiling, and squeeze your shoulder blades together. So you're already working your posture, your upper back, you're strengthening your upper back. And then we're going to inhale and lift the head and chest any amount. Keep reaching the fingers back, keep squeezing the shoulder blades together, and your neck is long. So don't pinch the back of the neck. Just make that back of the neck nice and long. Think about more of lifting your chest, lifting your shoulders than lifting your head. And breathe. Pull the belly in and up a little bit. Really, you're strengthening the whole posterior chain, all the muscles on the back of the body. And we're going to come down. Let's exhale. Lower down. Stack your hands and rest your forehead on stacked hands. Let the whole body relax. Just take a few belly breaths here. When you inhale, feel the belly press into the floor. When you exhale, just feel the body kind of melt down into the mat. So this is really good. These belly breaths on the floor, really good for your internal organs. They get a little massage with each breath. Good. Let's come out of this belly down pose. Bring the hands under the shoulders and lift yourself up into hands and knees table. And then we're going to bring our hips back. We're going to come down to sitting, swing those feet around. We're going to come all the way down onto our back for our final relaxation. So kind of center yourself on the mat and then coming down, nice long spine. You might even bring your elbows down if you need to and come down onto your back. Let's hug the knees into the chest and we'll roll side to side. Kind of like how we did when we first started. We're going to just finish up by rolling side to side, bringing a little more blood flow to those muscles, ironing them out. Good work on those poses. Knees come to center. Use your core. Feet come down to the mat. They can always come down one at a time. So kind of adjust hips and shoulders. And for your final relaxation, see if you want the knees bent. If you have any back issues, sometimes knees bent is better. Arms are at your side, palms up. Good. And you might want to stretch the legs out. Just see how it feels for the body. So yoga is so modifiable. We can change it just a little bit to suit our needs, to suit our particular, how we're feeling on a particular day. And I just, right now, want you to breathe. Inhale, feel your belly rise. Exhale, feel the belly fall. So our body takes on stillness now. So we moved the body. We went through these 8 yoga poses. We strengthened, stretched, and worked the body. And now we just bring stillness. This is where the muscle memory sets into the body. This is where all the magic happens. So final relaxation seems like you're not doing anything, but it's very important. It's like the icing on the cake for our yoga. Your nervous system rests, the muscle memory sets in, the bones start rebuilding right here, right? You put some stress on the bones and they start to getting to work to build more bones. Belly breathing. Inhale, belly rises. Exhale, belly falls. And as you're here in this final relaxation, visualize yourself being stronger, your bones stronger, your muscles stronger. Visualize yourself healthy. Visualize yourself relaxed. Visualize happy, content, vibrant, moving your body in some way every day, even just a little bit. So a little bit of practice every day is better than a longer bit of practice every once in a while. Take just a couple more breaths. And feel free to stay here longer if you'd like a little bit longer final relaxation. But if you're ready to come out of this, let's bend the knees, bring the feet to the floor if they're not already there. We're going to roll to your side, either side. Use your strong arms, long spine. Let your arms help you up to sitting. So sit tall. You've got your chair here. You could always sit in a chair. Otherwise, you can sit on a block or just sit comfortable for you. You could be kneeling. Let's take one sun breath to end our class. Bring the fingertips down by your side. We'll inhale, bring the hands up, palms touch, and then exhale, thumbs down to the heart. And this ends our 8 great yoga poses for osteoporosis. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Give me any suggestions for any more videos that you'd like to see. If this was helpful or you think it might be helpful to someone you know, share it with them. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. That helps YouTube to recommend my videos to other people who are interested in the same thing as you. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, hit the little subscribe button, and every time I upload a video, it's gonna let you know, oh, Becky or Yoga's Joyful Journey uploaded a new video you might like. So until we see each other again, bye-bye.